this kind of story is evolving from what happened with the prowling incident, but then just kind of safety in general when it comes to homes and in the community, and just can you give some tips and advice for people when it comes to making sure their homes are secure, that their home's safe, and what they're doing day to day is keeping them safe while obviously being in their own home.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right now, if you're looking at summer kind of hot weather crimes, I think one thing that you have to really be cognizant of is people are leaving their windows open for fresh air at night. We're doing a lot of yard work. So, oopsie, forgot to lock the garage pedestrian door. And so I think the first step is are you securing things before you go to bed at night? Making sure the house is locked up. If you want to have the windows open for air, you could put window alarms on that'll activate if someone pushes the windows open more. So it's making sure that the entry points into your home are secure first and foremost. Additionally, if you live in Eugene, you have a great resource at Eugene Police, my team. So the community engagement team, we will actually go to people's homes and help you look at ways to make the house safer. All you have to do is go onto the Eugene Police website, and we're more than likely to meet with you. So
awesome. And would you say that these types of crimes are more common than not, or least common? Like, what do you see when it comes to those statistics of crimes like these?
So, I mean, I think we're more likely to see property crimes, not as much someone prowling to try to get into your house to do something scary. Now, don't undermine that because they're out there as well. But I think most of the calls we get, it's that person in your yard trying to see if they can find a bike or find something of value that they can, conveniently take off with. So.
When it comes to, gender, do you see this like more happening with women, more with men? Kind of what types of calls are you guys responding to in these types of instances?
So I think if it's an instance where, someone's trying to get in the house to harm you, probably women could be a little bit more, targeted towards that. Now, some criminals, they don't know who live in the house. So they may have bad intentions and they're just going to face whatever's there. So.
No, absolutely. And with, back to school season kind of ramping up right now, and students especially moving in, by University of Oregon, places like this, what would your advice be to them, especially to parents coming into, moving in their students and stuff like that, to make sure they ensure that their students are staying safe as well?
Well, I can tell you right now, I teach personal safety classes, and my number one tip to everybody out there, situational awareness. We don't have it, okay? It's just one of those things. People on their cell phones, people got their headphones on, and it seems like everybody's looking at the ground nowadays. So you got to have that good situational awareness, especially for the students, the college students, because, things can happen fast, and if you're not prepared and ready, you might find yourself in a bad circumstance.
Absolutely. And obviously with this instance in particular, it was an AC unit. How can, someone who has an AC in their home, how can they, especially the ones that you put in your windows that can kind of, easily get moved around and pushed out, how can you ensure those stay locked and safe while, again, still staying cool because, we're in very hot temperatures right now?
Right, well, there's different locking mechanisms you can get, but, sometimes I tell people you can even do like a MacGyver effect and just put as much as a magnetic alarm on it. So if the magnets don't line up, a high-frequency alarm goes off. And you can get things pretty cheap, but yeah, if you have those window air conditioning units or anything in the window that can easily be removed, then you need to make sure the window's secure so they can't get in if they remove it.
And obviously, in a situation, besides calling the police, what can someone do, like in those situations, reacting? Obviously, you call the police and they come, but what can you do in those moments to ensure that you're safe in your own home if someone is trying to get into your home?
Well, first and foremost, get yourself to safety. People think of their house and, their things, and so you can replace things. You can't. If you can get out, a back door, get somewhere safer, please do that. I mean, if you got to defend yourself, you got to defend yourself, but there's a lot of consequences in that as well. So you have to be in imminent fear for your life if you use any kind of dramatic force on someone else. And, one thing that people don't think about is when those chemicals in the body rev up and then you're scared, logical parts of your brain shut down. And what you might think is something that you can use force on that you can't might be the wrong decision. So first and foremost, let's just make the house as safe as possible to try to prevent that. But first things most, get out of there. Get your family out of there. You can always replace things. Keep this safe.
Absolutely. And I mean, as a woman, again, people who live on their own and are trying to stay safe, what would you tell women to do in particular, especially living on their own, trying to stay safe? I know you talked about how, we're a lot on our phones now, not really situationally aware, but what else can we do in order to make sure that we're safe in our own homes? I've had people, come and look through my window and stuff like that, and it can get really creepy when people do that, and especially, again, with students moving in, the amount of people that are going to be around in the area within the next month.
I think it's just, again, keeping your house secure and stuff. I think everybody out there at some point in their life should take at least one self-defense class just to kind of prepare yourself on what you're willing to do. Because you'd be surprised, I go teach safety classes and I'll name off 7 things, and 4 of those 7 things someone's not willing to do. So what are you willing to do? And it's really something people have to think about. So trying to think about it. Just think about, what am I going to do? Because most people don't, because if they think about it, then that means they might be a victim someday and they don't want to face it. But you got to kind of prepare yourself, because in that moment, if you've never prepared your brain, then it's not going to know how to react.
Absolutely. And I know you talked again about the different safety mechanisms. Can you kind of describe those or say what those are so that people can, be aware and say if they see this and go out and want to buy something, like what specifically should they be looking for to buy to have in their home?
So there's things that range from several dollars to thousands of dollars. So it just depends on it. So obviously a good home security system would be great. Not everybody can do that. I actually will show up at homes gadgets. For instance, I love for like the pedestrian door that leads out from the garage. I'll just get an alarm door stopper. Literally for $15, you can get a door stopper that when you turn it on, if the door opens, a high frequency alarm goes off. You're going to get notified if someone kicks in that door. You can get window alarms. You can get dowels. You can get, it's much as things about, do you have a big bush right by your window that someone can hide behind? Okay, how do we trim that down? Again, there's so many things people can do from low to high, but if you really are interested, just get a hold of our team, come out and try to show you how to make your house safer.